So today we're gonna discuss the developing of a image using a tank method. So first, I just want to inform you that I have the list of steps that I've been research and then watch on YouTube on how to process the thing. Why I have my list for me for kindly, like, hindi naman sa sobrang mga ngopya, pero for me to have reference. So, let us start. So, first of all, before we start the developing what we call this, a film using the tank method, usually, pagkapasok natin ng darkroom, we should first have to prepare the things that we need to have. Or, what we call this, we need to make sure that everything, the items that you will needed to use on developing a film on a tank method should be in your desk or working space. So, what is the first thing that you will do? The first thing you will needed to do is first put a safety protection. What are that safety protection? First, goggles, safety goggles. Usually, lab coat or lab apron. And then next, face mask. And then, usually the main protection that we'll needed to have is the gloves. Why we need the gloves? For us to prevent having the film, even we touch the film, having or leaving the film our handprint or usually our fingerprints to avoid destroying the film. So meaning to say, kaya tayo nag-gloves, ayaw nating madungisan or magkaroon ng bakat yung film natin. We want our films to be gently clean and then so nice. Then next, after that, we're gonna need to prepare the things that we need to have. Usually, ano ba yung ginagamit natin sa tank method ng developing a image? Usually, we need our developing tank, our spirals, can opener, our film, and then what we call this, our chemicals, the developing chemicals, our other chemicals that we usually need to process the film, and then usually our tongue sponge, usually the sponge thing that we were using to remove the excess water and then chemicals that have been left on the film. And then usually film clips, and then the other thing that we need to have is usually it's on the darkroom na talaga. Usually, the things that we need to have is already in the darkroom. So, let us start. First, like I said, you prepare all the things. But, after you prepare all that things, we're gonna need to prepare another thing. We need to prepare our developing chemicals. So, now, how are we gonna prepare our developing chemicals? So, first, kindly get all the chemicals that you needed to develop a developing agent or developing chemicals. So first, we're gonna need to measure a 60 ml developer and then put it on a cylinder or a bottle. So usually we have our empty bottle or cylinder or what that we can put our chemical. So put the 60 ml chemical inside. Then next, after the 60 ml, we're gonna need to put or add a 240 ml of water. And remember, the water should have the temperature of 20 Celsius and 168 Fahrenheit. So, how are we gonna measure that? By using our thermometer. And then, why we need to follow that rules? Because that's the rule of developing a chemical. So, that's the rule on making a developing chemical. So, After you add that, it's all done. That's your developing chemical or developing agent that you will need to use. And then after that, put it on the separation or what we call the yun ready nating preparation setup. Kasi why we need to prepare all the things, because remember, when we start opening or start developing the what we call this or image, or usually opening the film, we remember the light what we call white light is already close, meaning to say we're working on the dark. Why? For us to avoid destroying the film, kasi masusunog yung film natin sa white light. So kaya tayo magtatrabaho sa dilim. Don't worry, kasi mamaya bubuksan mo naman yung safety light, pero itatakal down muna natin. Pero for now, after we prepare all the things, we're gonna need to shut the lights off. So after we shut the lights off, here's the thing. So we're gonna start. So first, you should get your film. And then after you get your film, kindly get your can opener. And then why we need to have a can opener? For us to easily open the film casket of the film case. So for us to open the case of the film. So ayun yung ano natin kung ba't kailangan natin ng can opener. And then next, after we open our film, we're gonna need to get our spiral. And then after we get our spiral, we're gonna pull out our film. And then usually, our film have a front thing that ganito siya kahaba, and then hindi siya buong film, parang kalahati siya ng film, and then yung susunod doon yung buong film na. Usually that part, the hot thing of the film, usually that is the one that we need to cut. And then why? Because we don't need to use that. Ang gagamitin talaga natin yung buong sukat, yung buong film talaga, hindi yung kalahati lang. Kumbaga ayun lang yung pambatak mo para mailabas mo yung film. So that's the thing. After you cut that, get your spiral, put it on your spiral, and then no need to like babalunbun mo yung film mo. No. The spiral is like a thread or diroskas. After you put just kindly long of this of a film, you can thread it until in the end. So usually, you can thread it easily nang hindi mo hinahawakan yung film mo. Thread it, and then iikot siya ng iikot, and then until it wraps on your spiral. And then once the limit of the film comes, kindly cut the edge of it, and then thread it, and then make sure that all the films are already in the spiral. And then next, after you put your film on the spiral, kindly get your developing tank, and then open your developing tank, put inside your spiral where your spiral have your film, and then usually close it with his lid. And then after that, the lid of the developing tank has a proportion or had another, what we call this, another socket or lid again that's kindly this big. Usually, the work of that thing or the hole, the another opening, is for us to kindly pour the developing chemical. So, on this part, eto na yan. Dito na magsisimula yung process natin. So, after you put your spiral inside the developing tank, close the lid, and then close the another proportion, or the what we call this, the another hole, and then kindly put the developing chemical that you mix or develop. The one na yung sinukat pa natin yung temperature. So, that's the first chemical that we need to have. So, after we put that, kindly close the lid of the another hole, and then And then kindly, what we call this, kindly turn upside down our tank, or our, what we call this, our developing tank up to, what we call this, 2 to 5 minutes. Up and down shaking. 2 to 5 minutes. And then after the 2 to 5 minutes, kindly put it on your sink and then open another panel or the small hole, and then remove the developing chemical. So next, after you remove the developing chemical, or the developing solution, kindly put or pour your stop bath. After ng developing chemical natin, we're gonna need to put our stop bath. And then, after we put our stop bath, kindly repeat the process that we use on putting the developing chemical. So, meaning to say, after we put our stop bath, we're gonna shake it up and down again. And then, if we turn it up and down again, at least 10 to 30 seconds, open the developing tank or the another proportion hole of the developing tank, and then remove the stop bath. And then after that, kindly pour your solution, which is the third chemical that we need to use. So kindly put our fixer. So after we put the fixer inside our developing tank, we gonna repeat the process earlier. We're gonna turn it upside down again, shaking it by upside down up to 2 to 5 minutes again. And then after 2 to 5 minutes, kindly remove our fixer solution, and then kindly fill or put water inside our developing tank. Why we are putting water inside the developing tank after using three different chemicals? For us to wash or remove the chemical agents that remove the maximum amount of the chemical agents inside the what we call this, our developing tank, and then films also, or the film that inside our spiral that inside our developing tank. So we're not doing that thing that filling up it isang beses lang, hindi lang siya isang beses, kundi maraming beses. And then once we have the satisfaction na okay na to, it's already done, okay na tong ginawa kong paghuhugas, yung pagpuno tapon. And then kindly put your iPhotol wetting agent. So we're gonna need to put our wetting agent, and then we're gonna repeat the steps that we use on the three different chemicals that usually we're gonna shake it upside down again at least 5 times. So meaning to say, after natin magkabit ng tubig, after natin ikabit yung tubig, we're gonna turn it upside down again. So usually ganito siya, parang ganito. Ito yung developing chemical natin. Gaganyan lang natin siya, upside down. Then usually, after doing that, kindly open your tank. So usually ito na to. On this part, we can open our lights, but our safety light, or what we call our red light. So how we can turn on the lights that hindi tayo nangangapa? Usually on our working desk, we have the lever thing in our front. They usually ons the red light. So once you pull that lever, usually the lever, the red light will turns on. So after you shake the your wetting solution 5 times, open up your tank, and then after you open your tank, usually you will remove inside the developing tank your spiral, which is the spiral. Inside the spiral there is your film. So usually ganito yan. Once we pull out our spiral, nakabukas na yung safety light natin. Why? Kasi yung safety light natin hindi nakaka-destroy yun. So doon ka pala magbubukas ng safety light mo. So like I said earlier, you're working at the dark. And then after you do that all things, na kaya nga sinabi ko, kailangan naka-prepare lahat ng gamit mo. Kasi ano yan eh. Kasi kinakapa mo yan. At least, prepare mo yung gamit mo. Etong unang bote ng chemical, ito yung developing chemical ko, and then yung next yung stock bat ko, and then yung pangatlo ko yung fixer, and then yung pang-apat ko yung wetting solution ko. Kasi nagtatrabaho ko sa dilim. That's why we need to be prepared. Before we start, we need to prepare all the things. So next, like I said, on this part, the safety light is already on, or the red light. And then usually after we turn on the light, we need to open our tank, and then usually open our tank, get our spiral, and then after we get our spiral, we need to gently pull out the film inside the spiral. Pero hindi talaga siya ipupull out. Like I said earlier, spiral is like a thread. So, meaning to say, deroscas to. So, kung pwede natin siya i-deroscas paloob, pwede rin natin siyang deroscas ipalabas yung film. So, usually, we're gonna thread it again to remove the film inside a spiral. So, after we remove the film inside the spiral, we need to get our film on our wash station, and then after we put it on our wash station, usually we need to hindi natin kailangan pakatagal. Meron tayong palanggana, and then usually our film, we need to soak it. Then after soaking it, we need to gently clean it. What is the thing that we need to use when cleaning it? The squidge. Usually that squidge is like a tong. Tong talaga siya, tong. But usually yung pang-ipit niya is foam. Why? For us to remove the excess water and then other chemicals that is in the film, or usually mga nakakapit pa sa film natin, for us to prevent destroying the development of the image through drying it and then waiting for his process. And then after we use our squidge and then clean it to remove the excess waters, and then other chemicals that still on the film, we need to get our film clips. And then after we get our film clips, kindly locate the edge of the film and then put it on your drying rack. And then after you put it on your drying rack and then locate the edge of the film, kindly use your film clips and then hang it out there for us, or for the film to dry and then process his image. Or usually after we put it on our drying racks, usually we gonna wait until it dries, and then until it process very carefully, or meaning to say, maghihintay lang tayo para matuyo yun and then ma-process niya talaga mabuti yung image. So, that's the thing. So, I think after waiting, we're gonna wait 5 to 10 minutes. I don't know, I don't have the accurate time, but after we have that time, we can check it, and then when we see it, it's already dry, and then the image is already there and then process, we can usually get it and then see for us for the result of what we made. So that's the process of processing a film through a developing tank. So earlier we discussed about the tank method. So now we're gonna discuss right now the tray method. So how the tray method works. So first we're gonna need to have our safety forces on. Usually, like I said earlier, lab gown or lab apron, goggles, face mask, and then gloves. Like I said, why gloves is the most important? Because for us to protect the film, to have thumb marks or handprints or fingerprints, for us to avoid having it marks, for us to destroy the film. So now, before we start, we're gonna need to to prepare our things. So what are these things? We need to have 4 trays that usually aligned, and then usually, like I said earlier, on this part we're using tray method, so we gonna use 4. Why 4 trays. Usually the first tray we're gonna put our developing chemical, or usually the developing solution that we develop or we mix. So on the first tray we're gonna need to have our chemical or our developing chemical inside the first tray, and then on the second tray we're gonna need to have our stop bath solution, and then on the third tray we're gonna need to have our fixer solution on the third tray. And then usually on the last tray we're gonna need to have our wetting solution on the last tray. So meaning to say, yung 4 na trays na yun, magkakasunod-sunod yun na nandun na yung mga chemical agents natin, na usually yung una nga yung developing chemical natin, pangalawa yung stop bath natin na solution, pangatlo yung fixer solution natin, and then yung lastly yung ano natin, yung what we call this our I'm sorry, our wetting solution. So now ganito lang yan, we need to open up again our film, and then usually naka-tray nga tayo. Usually first you're gonna put your film on the first tray, on the developing tray. So usually gaganon-ganonin mo lang siya, gaganon-ganonin mo lang yung, usually gaganon mo lang siya 2 to 5 minutes again. And then after that, after you do that, hindi naman sa totally parang patiktikin mo lang, and then usually put it on the next tray. That usually on the next tray we have our stop bath. They usually 5 minutes again, 5 minutes of upside down like that, upside down of the film like that. And then after that, patitiktikin mo ulit yung film mo, and then put it on your fixer. So after that, ganun ulit, 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, pull it out, let it patiktikin lang natin konti yung film natin. And then after that, before we're gonna put it on our what we call this, on our last tray, which is the wetting solution, we're gonna need first to go on our washing station. And then when we locate our washing station, usually we have there the like swimming pool type thing, or we have the sink that's have water, like the swimming pool thing nga siya. Meron tayong tubig na nakaimbak doon, and then usually ang gagawin natin, ganun lang din. Usually, gaganyan natin yung film natin, and then parang upside down, pag ganun, and then slide, upside down, slide, upside down, slide. And then until you think that's the thing that you're doing is already satisfied you, or okay na to, tama na to. Usually, go back on the trays and then put it on your last tray, which is usually your your wetting chemical or the last solution that we need to use. So 5 times we're gonna need to put the film in there, and then we're gonna need to upside down again our film up to 5 times. And then after that, after we do that thing, usually we can already turn on our safety lights. So usually earlier on the part that we're washing our, what we call this, our film on the washing station. Usually on that part we can actually turn on our safety lights or our red lights. So usually on that part, hinugasan natin siya, naka-turn on na yung safety light natin. So back to the topic tayo. So after after we wash it, and then we soak it 5 times upside down on our tray, that usually the last tray that we're having the wetting solution. Next, we're gonna get our squidge, or usually the tong thing, that the tong na ano siya, yung tong na may foam. And then usually kindly like this, you have your film, this is your film, and then this is your tong, imaginary tong, and they usually gonna clean it up. Why we're doing that? To remove the excess water and then the other chemicals that usually on it's all nasa film po natin. Why we're doing that? For us to avoid the, what we call this, destroying the process, the drying and then the processing of the image, and to avoid the like para sa damit, yung himulmol or kaya yung mga bubble thing na pwede mag-appear because of the chemical solution and then the water. So that's why we're doing that. So after we use the squidge to remove the other chemicals or the water that's on the film, we're not done. We're gonna need to get our film clips again, and then relocate the part of the dark room, which is our drying racks, and then usually put it on our drying racks, and then locate the edge of our film, and usually clip it up there, and then wait until 5 to 10 minutes, I think, and then let the drying process, and then the time process all the things, the drying and then the processing on the image. And then after 5 to 10 minutes, kindly check it again, and then usually after you see that it's already dry and then the film is already processed, you can actually turn off the red light and then turn on the white light. So that's the thing. So then you can get your film and then see for your results. So that's how the tray method and then tank method works. So thank you, and then have a nice day.